We researched the women's rights movement, which began in 1848. Women were given the right to vote in the 1920s, and the movement is still sort of going on today. The first meeting devoted to the women's rights movement in the United States was on July 19th and 20th, 1848, in Seneca Falls, New York. The main organizers of the convention were Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott. Around 100 people showed up, and about 2/3 of them were women. Most of the people that attended were surprised by the demand for women's rights, including most of the women. Many people worried that the demand for women's rights was too advanced for the time.
Later in the movement, women were helping and playing a big role in getting colored people their rights, while also trying to get the right to vote for women. Women became upset when the 14th and 15th Amendments were created and they did not include women. Women felt that the men they had been helping to get these rights for them were now turning their backs and leaving them out. In 1869, women started a group called the American Women's Suffrage Association, and they began campaigning to get women the right to vote and get equal rights for everyone.
Alice Paul and Carrie Chapman Catt played big roles in the final few years of the women's suffrage movement. Alice Paul was protesting outside of the White House and taken to jail. While in jail, Alice went on a hunger strike, which put her in the jail hospital. Alice did this because she believed so strongly in women's rights. Carrie Chapman Catt was protesting in New York and eventually won women in New York the right to vote. Women were given the right to vote before they were given full equality. Between all of the women that helped with the suffrage movement, they got the right to vote for all women in America before the 1920s presidential election.
Today, women use their rights to the full extent. They are marrying later and having fewer children than they used to. This means that they no longer feel the need to do exactly what the male figures in their life want them to do. More women are beginning to raise their children without their spouse. Women no longer need a man to have rights for them, so women take the liberty of caring for their children all on their own. This also means that more women are living in poverty because they do not get paid as much for jobs when they live in a family of only one parent. Not only are women raising children alone, but they are also choosing to remain childless. If they do decide to have children, they make the decision to have them later in their lives. Women do this because they want the chance to live and they don't feel pushed or rushed to do exactly what their spouse tells them. Women use their rights all the time, but sometimes there are instances in which the government does not allow for that. We are yet to have a woman president, and there are more men in Congress than there are women. It may not be evident, but these are clues as to how the government can get in the way of absolute equality in America.